We are back in action at training camp, and I'm back with the Hall of Famer, Steve Atwater. Steve, what's going on, man?
What's up, Aric? Hey, first game under the belt. Looking forward to progressing and making some improvements from there.
Look good, Steve. We are going to today kind of do things a little bit differently on here. We're going to talk about the game, which was Sunday, because we haven't had a chance to reflect on that yet, but we're going to kind of tie it into today's practice also to give people a little bit of a look at what happened out here at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit. I want to start, Steve, with the quarterbacks, because Sean Payton today said he felt good about where the team's at from a quarterback standpoint. We saw Jarrett Stidham get the start. Steve, today at practice, he had the chance to run a 2-minute drill and hit a nice long pass to Devaughn Vele. We'll get to him in a second because he's making plays all over the place every single day. But Jarrett Stidham led a successful, it wasn't really a 2-minute drive, kind of a 1-minute drive. In the game, Steve, I thought he did some good things too. Obviously, kind of got hurt by some of the things his teammates did. Samaje Perine bobbles a ball, gets picked off. There were some penalties. But when you watch Jarrett Stidham kind of take his reps with the ones, I think 11 snaps, what did you see from him out there in a couple of series?
Yeah, well, it looked like he had the confidence. I think he started camp with that confidence, and he played with it. Throwing accurate passes, nice pass to Courtland Sutton on the sideline there at the beginning of the game, and also just managing the game. He did a nice job of doing that.
Yeah, and Sean Payton said this week against the Packers, whether it's the joint practice or the game, all three guys are going to get a lot of reps. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Steve, of course, Bo Nix is going to start this game against the Packers. It'll be his first start of his young career at home. It'll be fun to see that. Today he took the reps with the ones as he gets ready for that. He also led the team to a field goal in that same end-of-game situation during practice today. In the game, Steve, though, we saw, I thought, some really good things. Initially, maybe some shaky throws to start, but he really settled in, led scoring drives on 4 of his 5 possessions. Sean Payton today said when he watched back the film, quote, his decision-making was good. I felt he was comfortable in the pocket, end quote. Did mention there were some times to clean up his footwork and that could have kind of been beneficial, but he said overall the scoring production, which is the job of the quarterback, They did some nice things. 20 points there from Bo. Steve, what'd you like about Bo Nix's first game action?
Yeah, I was very impressed with him. I think he was a little shaky early on, first three or four plays, but once he settled in, he looked like a starting quarterback, doing all the things that we saw him do at the University of Oregon, not taking sacks, not throwing interceptions, throwing accurate passes, throwing short passes, throwing deep passes, and running. You know, he showed that he can do it all, and I know he feels good about his performance, and hopefully he'll continue to build on it.
Yeah, impressive. I think after the game, Bo just said team. It was nice to get out there to execute. Didn't put a lot of praise on himself. Even his first touchdown pass to Marvin Mims, Marvin handed it to him, and then Bo handed it right back to the ref. I guess he's waiting for the first regular season one maybe. Steve, you talk about kind of those good reps that he got. Zach Wilson got a lot of good reps as well. I thought he made some nice throws today at practice, was able to push down the ball down the field a little bit, which he said after the game, it's been his mentality to just go out there and let it rip and see what happens. Sean Payton, when he was asked about him today, was really complimentary. Said he thought the reps in the game were really good. Quote, I felt he was real comfortable. He's aggressive. I like that he's going to take shots. And Sean also said he's encouraged and he likes what he's seeing. Steve, I thought that was a pretty encouraging, to use Sean Payton's word, performance from Zach Wilson out there. Like you mentioned, avoided sacks, no turnovers, and he looked pretty comfortable, I thought.
Yeah, I think so too. And, it's kind of difficult, I would imagine, to come from another team, being the second pick in the draft, and having to prove yourself all over again. But I think he's doing just that, proving that he belongs in the NFL. And he went out through good passes, made good decisions. But the only thing, sometimes in practice, he holds the ball a little longer than I would like. But, hey, I'm not a quarterback. I was a defensive back. That may be the way that it's supposed to be. But, I do like what he's doing out there. I liked his performance in the game, and hopefully he can continue to improve and, make this roster.
Steve, he like I said, he made some good plays today in practice. That is Zach Wilson, but a guy that stands out over and over and over again, and we might as well call this like Devaughn Vele breakdown because he's making plays all over the place. Sean Payton talked a little bit about he's got that height, but then his legs aren't super long, so he's able to get in and out of cuts. I thought that was kind of interesting. But, Steve, he didn't have maybe it doesn't go in the yardage book, in the game book, when you have pass interference penalties that you draw, but he drew a pair of pass interference calls against the Colts for 40 yards that put the Broncos in scoring position. In one-on-ones, he's mossing people. You go out to practice at the end of that end of the game drive I talked about. He's making a big play, 30-plus yards. Steve, this guy, for a rookie, it's just I continue to be impressed, and I imagine you feel the same way.
Yeah, he's a playmaker. You see it every time you step on the field. He's making plays. He has hands, really good hands. Doesn't drop hardly anything, and for him to know the offense as well as he knows it at this point, because he's not, you don't see the coaches getting on him about, hey, you're in the wrong place. You got to do this to do that. That speaks volumes to me that he's locked in and he's ready to help contribute to this team. And, knowing that he was drafted in, sixth round?
I think seventh round.
Seventh round? Come on, man. I mean, to have the opportunity that he has to right in front of him here, I think he's making the most of it. And I heard that in college, his college quarterback, I think his starting quarterback got hurt, second-team quarterback. Yep. Probably wasn't as good as the first-team quarterback, and he wasn't able to show off his skills. But now he's getting an opportunity to do that for an NFL team, the Denver Broncos, us. And I'm super happy for him. I know his ceiling is extremely high, and he's just getting started.
Yeah, and you don't want to make predictions based off preseason or training camp or anything like that, but he feels like a little bit of a steal already, being drafted as late as he was. And Steve, one of the things you hear about him too is that he doesn't feel like a rookie because he's older. I think he's 26. Obviously, completed his mission trip before he came out here. So impressive to see him, Steve. When you look back at the game, who else stood out to you? Anybody else that you said, man, they had a nice game?
Jonah Elliss.
Oh, yeah.
Jonah Elliss on the defensive side. Great job of holding that edge. That's one of the most difficult things to do because usually the defensive ends or edge rushers are outsized by the offensive tackles. But, man, he got low, used his lower leg strength and was able to, contain really well. And also just dropped into coverage, being in the right place at the right time. And another guy that I think is going to contribute quite a bit this year.
Yeah, Steve, he had one play where quarterback, the Colts had 5 quarterbacks, so hard to remember who was in there, but he's running the sideline, and Ellis just stayed with him stride for stride, eventually pushed him out of bounds for a sack. That was an impressive play. It'll be interesting to see who steps up this week, who steps up during joint practice, and we will be here to give you all that coverage and a lot more. For the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, I'm Aric DiLalla.